Hello and welcome to the project file walkthrough for Craving Colors, a mashup between Ford's Craving and the Mitsubishi Colors opening song. I'm not gonna be bothered to read the Japanese. But anyways, yeah, this is gonna be me walking through some of the mixing decisions and, stuff I learned in the making of this mashup and what I did. Anyways, let's get into it. The beginning of this is more or less pretty straightforward, except for the first drop. Oh, sorry. Over here, the first drop. I've just looped the first chorus instrumental again because in the original song for Craving, the instrumental is basically that, just with the vocal chop, and I decided to substitute my own vocal chop in place of it. I just want to talk about how working with this mashup, it's pretty much really simple, but it just a well-placed delay and reverb makes all the difference when listening to this in the mix. So for example, I'll play this section over here versus just the dry signal. If I turn off the reverb here, it just makes a world of difference. So yeah, it's just honestly what I feel like the reverb and delay are honestly carrying 70% of this mashup, if I was being perfectly honest, with like maybe this vocal chop stuff and other instruments, which I'll get into later, doing the remainder of the 30%. But honestly, yeah, 70% just a well-calibrated reverb and delay here and there is gonna make all the difference. Anyways, I'm gonna talk about the so I have the main vocal from the Mitsubishi Colors opening here, but in these pink clips you can see here that this is the ending vocals, where they have these little ad-libs. Let me turn this off. So stuff like that, that's also being routed into the same channel with the reverb and delay automation. So if I turn off the vocal chop, I think it's this channel, yeah. So there's little hey, and then yeah. Oh yeah, that's that. But yeah, just automating a delay on certain syllables to emphasize stuff, like for example the Mitsubishi jump jump jump. So that's a ping pong delay, as you can, well, if you're listening on a phone you won't be able to hear it, but if you have any sort of stereo speakers, it's just a delay that jumps between the left and right ear, which pretty much my process for working with any effect is just I'll look for a preset. So I literally just loaded in the standard ping pong delay preset. Like I just went here and I clicked ping pong, and then I tweaked the other stuff until I found what I wanted. The same went with the reverb, and that's pretty much what I do for all of the effects that I apply. So yeah, this mute solo is just telling it to, okay, apply the delay to this bit, and over here I have the same jump, but there's a automation clip here that's basically making this bit softer, so it's still there. In this case I didn't apply the reverb because the delay, because I didn't want it to clash with the first part, but like it's just, and then softer. In the mix it's kind of like, okay, you barely hear it, but it's there. Anyways, let me talk about the vocal chop that I did. So this is probably the fastest I've ever done a mashup of this complexity in terms of like the vocal chopping and screwing. Oh, I forgot to mention these little automation clips here in the yellow channel. This is doing what's called side chaining. So side chaining is basically this clip controls the volume of the clip, and so every time if it's in the mix and you want something to stand out, for example, like a kick drum, but you have another vocal just playing at a flat volume on top of it, it's very easy for the vocal to like cover the bit of the instrumental that you want to stand out. So instead of just boosting the volume of the kick and making everything sound like really crammed together, because truth be told, you do have somewhat limited space to work with when you're mixing stuff. A technique that you can do is sidechaining, where instead of making the kick louder, you just make the whatever it is softer when the kick comes in, and your brain just fills in the difference. It doesn't really notice. So this is what the vocal sounds like. But with the instrumental in there, you don't really care, because the kick is there to be like, okay, and your brain does a decent enough job of filling in the gaps. So that's sidechaining. Anyways, back to the vocal chop. So what I've done here is I've just made a vocal chop. You can see the raw files down here, but I made a chop, tuned it in Melodyne, and then bounced it out, and then duplicated it 6 times. So there are 6 voices going on here. I'll just and I'm routing all of them into one channel, and you know, mixing them at different volumes or whatever. And then it's going through all these like compressors and sound goodizers and stuff to just make the chop sound very full. But I'll just break down the 6 voices that are going on. Here's the raw vocal. Oh wait, well I guess with all these effects on, it's let me turn everything off. And so I've duplicated that 5 other times, and on each of these channels, you can see I've done 2 things. One is that I've added a pitcher, and what I've done is I've just turned on the formant setting, and I've set all of these to different settings on the formant shifter. So what this does is it deforms the vocal and makes while it keeps the notes the same, but it changes the quality of the voice. So for example, the second one is really, as you can see, the pitch is really set towards the feminine side. It's using a masculine and feminine sort of indicator on the scale, but if I play it, so you can hear the difference, and I've done that for each of these. So I believe these are arranged in order of high to low, except for number 6. Number 6 is the highest one, because it's also pitched up in terms of like just the regular pitch. So it's both pitched and formant, and yeah, I've played around with these. So I believe these 3 are just formant, and then these 2 are pitch and formant. So I'll just go through each of these and show you what they sound like. So yeah, it's getting lower and lower, and then this one's pitched down 12 semitones and formanted. And so all of them are going into this channel. So together, this is what they sound like. Oh wait, I have to turn all these on. Oh, I don't like how the sound cuts off on its own, but whatever, you know. Then with all the effects on, you know, mostly just stuff to make it sound good, free bounce to tone everything down, because the compressor and sound goodizer are making everything super loud. A bit of distortion to make it sound like nice and dirty, and then just some, I think the EQ is automated actually. Yeah, it is. So this EQ is actually just a, let me detach this so I can show you. So this is just a low pass filter pretty much, and what that does is it just cuts out all the high end frequencies and just muffles everything. So you can see what's being automated here. So you're losing a lot of that clarity. Oh, actually, one other thing, this really high voice, the number 6, what's actually going on here is it's going into this channel, and initially I just had it, I had all 6 of them going to the channel and then going to the master bus. So if you look at these wires down here in the mixer, these basically explain where it's sending the audio to, and this master bus is what ends up finally coming out on the speaker. So all of these, like if I were to solo this channel but like I mute this one, you wouldn't hear anything because it's sending the audio in here but nothing's going to the master bus. But if I turn this on, so yeah, that's what's going on. And so for all of these, I have them only going to this channel except for number 6, because this is going into I thought it was going to the channel, but it's just going straight to the master. This was a complete accident. I initially intended to have this go into this channel with all of them, but I accidentally left it out. But when I listened to it and then I turned it back in, and then I was like, nah, it sounds better just on its own, as a nice little accent on top of all of the other stuff going on. So that's just a happy little accident. And yeah, these higher voicings, I've just cut it out so it only comes in sometimes to better kind of match the Craving drop. I'll play what that sounds like. Oh. So there's some parts where it's like the higher pitch stuff comes in, and then it goes back to low, and then high comes in, and then goes back to low. And that's why I tried to emulate here by just removing some of the voicings in certain parts. This is also very briefly what I did at the end, where I only kept the lower voicing. So and there's just a lower bit. And because the formant shifting on its own is already like somewhat, it's not too clean. There's a bit of like artifacting going on, but I think it sounded really cool, especially, you know, as it fades out towards the end. It's something that, like, because if you didn't really notice it before, it's there in the mix, but because there's so much else going on during the song, it kind of masks it. But when it comes to the end and it kind of like has a bit more space to breathe, you can hear it, and it almost has an effect like it's kind of like deforming slowly over time as the track goes to an end. But that's not what's happening. It's already there, you just don't hear it while everything else is going full blast. So that's the vocal chop. Once again. Yeah. Oh yeah, and this part, you know, it just goes back into the second verse, I guess, because I'm not sure if the first one counts, but this is also just what I explained earlier, a low pass EQ that just muffles the vocal. Oh, sorry, it's not low, it's just it's a low and high pass kind of. It basically, I've just isolated the middle so you get the important bit, but like it's not too clear, and it's not too bassy as well, so it doesn't really fight with the vocal chop. Eventually though, you know, I can't ignore the original instrumental's vocal chop forever, so it, like, after a while I just opted to just let it play at the same time, and so it's like layered underneath the original instrumental, kind of like backing it up harmonically, which is really cool. Oh, I forgot to mention one other thing in the Mitsuboshi Colors acapella. So if you listen to this part, so this bit actually has been melodined. Let me isolate this channel and show you what that sounds like. Let me turn off the reverb. So this is what it sounds like without melodyne. So you can hear that backing vocal, Sodan suru yo, on its own, like it kind of goes off key, and it doesn't really fit the instrumental, because it's something that sort of caught my ear. But if you're not too familiar with like music theory and stuff, or just like pitch relations and everything, it's very easy to miss. I think I only caught this at like the last minute right before uploading it, and I was like, oh, that actually sounds a bit weird. But yeah. Yeah, it doesn't quite fit in. It's a little bit dissonant, so what I did is I went into melodyne, and let me explain what I did again. So melodyne is, if you didn't know, it's a pitch shifting software that allows you to basically retune vocals without it sounding too bad. Or it's very smart in how it goes about tuning vocals to kind of preserve or predict how the original singer would have sung the note differently. But also, if you just play like a few people singing at once, let's say for example 3 people singing on top of each other, like in the Mitsuboshi Colors a cappella, it's clever enough that it can figure out what notes each person is singing, and it also figures out how to split up the voices so that you can retune each individual singer. So since there's like 3 people singing, but only one of them has a harmony that's out of place, Melodyne is sort of the perfect tool to go in and fix that. So I just went in. I can't remember exactly which notes that I shifted, but basically with Melodyne, becomes so it just it's a very subtle change, but you know, it brings the whole thing together. Oh yeah, and this bit here is a reverse reverb. Oh god, I forgot to turn on the other channels. So I believe that it's taken from the verse somewhere. And so what a reverse reverb is basically I go take that clip out, apply a fat reverb to it. For example, this one, I think this was the channel I used, but you just turn up the decay time. In this case I set it to 3 seconds, you know, and you just let it trail out. You render that clip, and then you throw that clip back in and you reverse it, and you get a nice little riser effect. So in context with the vocal, actually I should turn the rest of these on, but yeah, in context with the vocal, so it kind of like helps bring the impact for when the verse comes back in. Oh yeah, also this little ad-lib here, the I think that's because of the reverb and delay, because I just isolated it, but that ad-lib is so cute, and I think it was a complete accident as well, but it was really nice that it comes in and sort of backs up the final chorus. Yay! I just love that so much. Yeah, that's most of what I did with the vocals, and yeah, pretty much here is just a bunch of layered hey, hey, ooh, hey. And oh yeah, down here, this is the final touch that for some reason I didn't name the track, but what I did was I have a channel called Sakura, and it's basically just a synth program. So I went in here and I picked the BL Fluty Loops preset, and then like I said before, I just took a preset and then I fiddled around with it until I got something that sounded kind of okay. And so in the back I have this counter melody going that's taken from the Mitsuboshi Colors opening. I think this bit's rushing a bit, but oh no, I think it's on time, but whatever. If you're wondering what this little like wavy thing is actually an LFO controller. So what I've done here in the piano roll is if I go into tools, you can see that there's a LFO tool, and what a LFO does is it basically is a tool that gives something shape. So if I believe I used it to automate the channel volume, and basically the LFO tool just creates a bunch of wavy stuff that repeats, and what it's doing is basically making the volume go up and down according to this wave pattern. So without the LFO control, let me how do I disable it? Well, that was an accident. Let's just assume that, let's say I just have it at a flat volume. This is what it would sound like. But if I, with the LFO, so you can tell it's a very shaky, but in context with the instrumental, it kind of provided a really cool sound because when it's being masked, it kind of feels like some of the notes are lagging behind a little bit, which I was like, oh, that's nifty. So let me turn off the chops in the vocal. Oh yeah, it doesn't come in until the second half of the chorus. So it kind of sounds like da 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 da. So it's almost like there's a little pause there when there isn't, which was a very interesting sound. And towards the end, I chopped it up again, and basically it goes straight from. Oh wait, So it's got a da, 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 as a loop, which is sort of my way of compensating or sort of having it go in time with the Craving instrumental, because it has this like da 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 da. Whatever, I can't sing in pitch today, but so this is my version of a counter melody to that, which is so yeah, that's pretty much everything that went into this mashup. This is a pretty fun one to work on, very interesting combo, if I do say so myself. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you learned something. I sure did, and I will see you when I see you.